You know, the parable of the pasta sauce says we have imprints that influence our lives. We have 3 faculty members in communication journalism who have young children. The third is Mary Pardo. Her son Gabriel calls her Ima. There is no equivalent English spelling in Hebrew, and she told me the closest is what you have here. Mary has been sick and she's not here tonight. And I promised her that we would all acknowledge her imprints and Gabriel's imprints as I made the transition. I think it's so cool that they took the time to do that. Same with your children and Tippett back there. The imprints that influence our lives. What are we talking about in this case? We look at the imprints in terms of who do you remember? Who are the imprints? Where do they come from? Whose imprints are integral, important to you? I think it's the people who share your lives. I think it's the people who encourage you on your journey. I think it's the people who take risks for you and for me. The people in your lives who go to bat for you. And the people who have pushed you to get over your bar. Raise the bar higher. Raise your bar higher. Those are the people who care about you. They are here as faculty. They are there at home. They are all over the place as your family, your friends, your loved ones. These are the people whose imprints you remember. These are the prints. For me, you know, what do I remember? I mean, I'll tell you the truth, photo album time. Okay? Now, it says Doc in red, okay? Those of you who don't know, the Buff State people used to call me Dr. Jim. I was a lot younger then and closer to them in age. And then as we got older, or I got older and you stayed the same, there's always 18 to 22 and a few folks who are adults. Okay? That's the general framework of college. So the doc thing happened because a student said, we can't call you Jim. God forbid. So what happened is people started calling me Doc about 10, 12 years ago. And I thought, Doc, that's like Elmer Fudd. What are they doing? Until one of the students pulled me aside, smartened me up, and said, Doc is a term of endearment. We don't know what else to call you. Dr. Seward seems way too formal. We're never going to call you Jim. And, quite honestly, Dr. Jim sounds hippy-dippy 70s stuff, so they don't want to do that. So it became Doc. An impression, an imprint. Tonight we look at some photos, but the idea is that they're mine, sure, but they're yours. You have parallels. You could put your own pictures in here and you would have the same business of imprints. For example, my family, an integral part of who I am. People who cared about me, people who made it possible for me to be here in front of you, and my brother's here, it's my partner's here. It's the kind of thing where you realize quickly that you are here because of the loved ones. That's my mom and my dad. Little Polish girl, My dad, Canadian. Some of you know there's a Canadian flag in my office. There's a dear friend here from the Canadian consulate and the Canadian embassy tonight for reasons we'll talk about a little later. He was from Newfoundland. And so here we've got, and there's German and Polish and also, so I'm a mongrel. Woof. But the parents cared. And you have that in your life too. The parents care. The parents sacrifice. The parents go out of their way. I didn't come from a lot of money. And we look back on it, and there were times I'm sure my parents were struggling. And yet they sacrificed for my brother and me so that we could do the things we wanted to do, have the dreams we wanted to have, and live the lives we wanted to live. When you talk about imprints, my brother, my sister-in-law, Kathy, my nephew, Ian, and me in the corner, your siblings, the people that you care about, the people you grow up with, the people who imprint you. These are the things that you grow up with all kinds of memories. Training wheels for the little brother, who's now 60 and a lot bigger than me. He grew up as a football player. Not me. We had a wonderful childhood. And we had wonderful parents, and that's part of it. If you're lucky in life, you find people who care about you. I've been in a partnered relationship for 26 years, and Fred has been my rock. And it is, to me, an important piece tonight to acknowledge that. Fred has been here at times when I needed it. He's heard me talk about classes and all the things that happen. You need to be, I hope you are blessed and you find someone who cares about you and loves you. And what that love is your business. But when you put it together, the thing that's important is that you have love. And love is in your life, and if you're really fortunate, you can return it. That's an imprint, and it's as important as anything else I can tell you tonight. Newfoundland, this little lady was a teacher. She was my grandma. And after she retired, she lived until 1960, so she never saw all the things that happened later. But I can remember sitting down with her and she was teaching me ZYX, WV, UTS, and RQP, O&M and LKJ, IHG, and FED, CBA. I can still say the damn alphabet backwards. Who taught me that? Grandma! Okay? See what I'm saying? Your grandmas, the people who are like them in your life, will teach you and love you and give you things, sometimes silly things. ZYX, I can do it, see? But it's more than that, and you know just what I'm talking about. It's the heart. It's the people who care, the people who love. My Aunt Dorothy passed away about 8 years ago. She was in the Women's Army Corps during the Second World War. She was stationed in Panama. She met the love of her life. I don't know what was wrong with them. It took them 35 years to get married. And then she ran off to San Francisco and had one of those quick kind of things, came back, I'm married. And we all went, wow. Her husband, Lou, is a great fellow. They only were married for 4 years because he died. He was driving his little Volkswagen and he suffered a heart attack. And he was on a major freeway in Buffalo, and he had the presence of mind to pull that car over. He knew he was having a heart attack. He stopped the vehicle and probably saved God knows how many people who he would have surely hit if he had not pulled the car over. Think about that. Think of the lives who quite literally were saved. The man knew what was going on, had the presence of mind. So my aunt was a widow, and she pretty well adopted my brother and me. We became her special nephews, you know. You probably have people in your lives who are like my Aunt Dorothy. You probably have people who, they're not first-generation blood. They're, cousins, aunts, uncles, nephews, whatever. But they make your life so much richer because they care. And they tell you the things. She would listen to me on the radio when we'll talk more a little bit later about being a DJ on top 40 radio stations before I became a professor. She'd listen to me on the radio, and sometimes she'd critique me. She didn't like the music. I should be playing Lawrence Welk. I was playing the Beatles and the Stones and all that kind of stuff. But then she'd kid with me and say, oh, you're going to be fine. You have people like that, don't you? You have people who care about you. You have people who support you. You have people who love you. And that is the imprint that happens. My cousin and his wife, they can't be here tonight. Paul recently had a heart attack and is under some medical treatment in Toronto. They live in Mississauga. Twin sons of different mothers, if you believe in that kind of thing, we are twin sons of different mothers. We are many ways very different, many ways very cool together. Integral part of my life is those folks in Toronto who have really, over the years, just been a big part of it. And how could you not forget your dog? Okay? Bear. Okay? Bear died back in '99, and I've got some of my neighbors from my previous home over in Victor, and wasn't he the neighborhood dog? I mean, the kids would come over and would be, can Bear come out to play? Look, he weighed 120 pounds. Of course he can come out and play. You take him. Uh-huh. Bear left imprints a little animal, actually a big animal, that kids loved. And so they would come to the house, and the parents would say, oh, those two guys, that's cool, the dog. And you know, we made dear friends with neighbors who are here tonight from that experience. A dog. A dog. See, a dog. You have maybe a cat, a gerbil, a rabbit, I don't know. But you know the experience and the love that comes and the imprints that happen from animals. And so if you look at together, it's kind of like a modern family. It's like, but I'm going to bet, yeah, those are my pictures, but I'll bet you could put pictures in there just as easily, and you could tell stories just like this. And that, guys, is the point. The point is that the imprints come from key people in our lives who we care about and who care about us. And if we're really fortunate and really, really blessed, we'll be smart enough to acknowledge that, to know that, and to be thankful for all of that. Teachers. I had teachers too. You know, I mean, yes, dinosaurs walked when I was in high school, but, you know, oh, God. Okay. When I was in high school, there were two people who really made a difference for me. My English teacher, Ruth Benfont. And Ruth, Mrs. Benfont, I never call her Ruth. Mrs. Benfont, I remember talking to her one day about the fact I was scared about going to college. I didn't think I was going to be smart enough. My eyes were on UB, and I was a little hesitant. I was a kid growing up in Cheektowaga, but not on a chicken farm anymore. Growing up in Cheektowaga, and I wasn't sure. And Mrs. Benfont pulled me aside and in so many words said, smarten up. She said, you can do this. You can do all of this. Look ahead. And I told her about what I wanted to do and all these dreams. She never laughed. I wanted to be on the radio. I wanted to run radio stations. I wanted to do all that stuff. And she never laughed at that. I DJ'd record hops, MP3 hops now, where you play music, you know, and kids dance. And she never said, ha, that's foolish. She said, instead, follow your dream. Follow your heart. And I will never forget her. Beverly Beringer. Miss Beringer, was a Wagnerian woman who just kind of walked around like this. You swear you'd get out of her way because she was scary. But she had a heart of gold. Look, I can sing and all that kind of stuff, but I don't sing classical music, so I never was the guy who sang, hallelujah. Never did that. And you can see why, right? But she had other plans. You know, she said, you can work in the chorus, you can do things. And I had parts in musicals and things like that. And Bev said to me, much like Mrs. Benfont did, said, you will find your path. You know, that's oftentimes what teachers, professors have to tell you. You will find your path. You have to be open. You have to look. You have to think. You have to be aware. But you will find your path. Mrs. Benfont and Miss Beringer teamed up for this particular 1965 photo. Okay? We were in a club. And I wasn't a geek, really, but I mean, it was a drama club. And you know what? The Cheektowaga Times, around 1965, published that. Can you find me? Top right, you know? Ta-da! Okay. Look at that. I wish I had that hair. You know? That's not a wig. That's really mine. I got thrown in the principal's office because my hair was too long. I really did. Back in the Beatles days, couldn't have the hair over the ears. And my hair was a little over the ears, and I got hauled in the principal's office. I would kill for that hair now. Right? You know, the memories, the fun things, the things that happened when you're in school, the imprints that you remember because I'm sure you had similar kinds of things that happened to you.